Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're watching this Stokastic.com MLB Strategy Show on a Thursday morning 3-game slate. Far cry from yesterday, covering 15 games. Josh and I mentioned after the show that the reason that took so long, I mean, not just the standard par for the course derailments.
Yeah.
They happen all the time, and we still managed to do it in a moderately timely fashion because you're covering all 15 games on a slate, 15 games, all 30 teams, but also you're doing a 9-game slate, then a 6-game slate. So you're breaking down two totally. If that was a 15-game slate, all 30 teams on the slate, you would just throw half of those games in the garbage. So I don't remember the last time we've had something like that with the 640 games included. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm Dave Loughran, Lafayette_D, joined by Josh Engleman at Josh Engleman. What's good, brother? How you doing?
I'm good. Yesterday didn't go well in the DFS streets, but what are you going to do? I think I got to like 20th or something stupid last night. I don't know. Not high enough. That's for sure. 3 games today, kind of yuck, but it's still 50K up top, which is exciting. They're running a milli next Monday or Tuesday before, like probably Tuesday maybe it's
That's
Monday. I don't
crazy.
Remember. Yeah. They ran one last year, that final stretch before NFL. Because we've got NFL a week from today, right?
Yeah, man. We're here. What's the entry point on that milli?
Not something that anybody is entering.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, what, 3,000 or something?
Yeah, I doubt I even put an entry in.
Let me see.
It's
because I just know if they're doing a baseball milli,
2,500.
There you go. Yeah, like they're not. It's not a $20. It's not a $20 milli maker for sure.
No, I think I don't know.
No,
I would have preferred like 1,800 entries and a $1,200 entry fee, but whatever. I'm not going to get in it. I would imagine.
It is hilarious though, because for NFL in week 1, there's a $5 milli maker.
I hate that contest with a raging passion. It's one of the contests that like you can't even analyze afterwards because it breaks every site's tools because there's a million entries.
I know. What is it, like 1.2 million or something?
Yeah. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. I'll be in it, but it's dumb.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to play. I love their single entry 3 max, 5 max stuff for football because the contests are huge.
So like that one to me is just like, oh, the Powerball is at a billy, so I'm going to buy all the tickets.
And to max it, it's what, 750. So it's not like you're putting in 5,000 to max something that you have no shot of.
No, I'm not maxing the $100 for 15 grand.
Yeah. But they're saying like the SPY, the $100 SPY is great. We talked about it before. The Wildcat is another really good one. DraftKings does have some fantastic, if you're not trying to throw straight lottery tickets, there's a lot of stuff out there for sure.
I love the 3 max power suite, 4,444 entries. Yeah, that's a fantastic contest.
It is. That's a good one. Oh yeah, they do have the $100 milli as well.
Yeah. Like if I'm going to play the $100 milli, I might as well just roll it all together and get in the 44 for one.
Yeah. What, how many?
Dude, the $100 milli still has 28,000 entries.
Does it really?
Yeah.
And the 4,000 has 768.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the most you can put into that?
The 4444 one?
Yeah. How many?
23.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's not the most that I can put into it.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot.
I could, but we're going to have a real bad Monday, probably.
Yeah, things could end poorly.
It's certainly going to end in divorce.
If you,
Those min cashes are going to feel great.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, if you did that though, and ended up like breaking even after a really bad start to the day, it would be the best feeling in your life.
It'd be like winning.
It would be like winning $1 million. You're saying like winning a million. Yeah. If you max that out,
It's $100,000.
Yeah.
Has anybody maxed it yet? I don't even see that anybody has maxed it. Oh, Uticow has maxed it, but that's, like even like Whistles only has 7 entries in it.
Yeah. So maybe he's going to add more, but you would think not.
Yeah. I mean, like there are a lot of pro names in there that are only throwing a single shot in. Obviously.
Isn't that crazy though? Like if you max that and won, you're still just 10xing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. Don't get me wrong. Turning that into $1 million is still, a quick 10x is a beautiful thing, but
yeah,
10x on 100,000.
It's just, it's a lot of outlay for that return. Pass.
Miami, Washington, San Francisco, San Diego, Atlanta, LA Dodgers. Strider on the bump today. 3 games. Happy to have you guys with us. If you haven't done so yet, take a single second, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I know it's an abbreviated slate today, but we're glad all of you guys are with us. If you're watching or listening after the fact, leave a comment down below. Say hello. We always read and at very least read and try to respond to all those comments. And if you're listening in podcast form, maybe you're just driving to work. You don't feel like having your phone open. You don't have YouTube Premium. All of our stuff's available in podcast form, Apple Podcast, Spotify, you name it. Leave a rating or review. Subscribe to the pod. That stuff goes a long way for us. We appreciate you in advance. Let's talk some baseball. Only 3 games today, Josh.
Yeah. Dude, when I woke up and saw the Braves were playing today, I was just like, Jesus Christ, they're on a 3-game slate in Coors.
Oh, God, 4-game set at Coors, and they're closing it out today.
Dodgers, good God, my God. When I saw it, I was just like, my jaw dropped. I was like, please be the 1:00 game or something.
What do you think the top stack probability would be if Atlanta was against Colorado at Coors?
I mean, it was 40-something last night on a 6-gamer.
Is it like 85?
No, it's 80, less than. It's 80? Probably in this. It's probably in the low 60s.
You don't think it'd be like at least 70?
I could run it, but like, probably not. I don't know. I don't have the context for it. Because when I saw it, I was just like, I'm not, because I wasn't going to play tonight's slate. Like, I don't generally like 3-gamers all that much, but I saw it was 50K. I was like, you know what? Like, I guess I'll get into that. And then I saw it was the Braves. I was like, I'm not playing this garbage. What are we talking about here? I was like, okay, they're not the number 1 stack today. Thank God. Which
is crazy though, because it's a super flat distribution. Like, look how flat that is with top stack probabilities.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the Marlins are very real today, whereas like there wouldn't have been, the Braves would have been 60 and the next closest team would have been like 12. And I would have been like, okay, this should be a blast.
Marlins going up against Jonah Doan.
Yeah, Joan back on the hill.
Old Jonah Doan.
I know we're playing DFS softball.
Lance Lynn, Pedro Avila, Sean Manaea, Braxton Garrett, and then Strider here. What does ownership look like as far as pitching goes?
Basically flat.
Really?
Like there are extremes, obviously, but the low man is Joan, and then the high man is Strider at 48. But like 23 to 48, like I get that that's a pretty big range, but like if 23 is the base, that's not all that extreme for 6 guys.
It's relatively insignificant given what we've seen on some of these similar slates.
Like average is 33. We're not wiggling that far off of an average ownership for 6 guys.
Like we've seen them where it's 75% and then on a 3-gamer, and then 2 guys are getting 5%.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Strider 12-5 on DraftKings today. You're paying for him against those Dodgers. So let's get into it. We'll go game by game here, break it down, send you guys on your way, maybe get you out a little bit earlier than usual. That is the hope.
Dude, if if this takes 15 minutes a game and we're here till 11,
we can't. No, we can't do that. It's not right. It's not right. Miami, Washington, Marlins minus 162 makes sense. You have Braxton Garrett going today against Joan Adon.
Jonah
Doan.
So you mentioned the Marlins. Have you ever been marlin fishing, Dave?
Here we go.
No, I got nothing there. That was just the only thing that I could think of.
I haven't. My pops had a boat though when we were younger, in Ocean City, New Jersey. So we would take that out. We'd fish in the ocean, in the bay and everything, but never like deep sea sport fishing or anything like that. No.
Are
Nothing like
bonita
that.
fish big?
What?
Are bonita fish big?
What's he
Well,
say to him
they're-
after that? He's like,
I mean, the dad tells him to like shut up and
that's
stop
what
talking.
well, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. And then Derek just like rolls his eyes at him or something. Yeah.
Well, they're a trophy fish.
Yeah. So what was his name? What was the one that asked if the bonita fish are big?
Dale, I think.
He's like, so yeah, Dale, I'd say they're pretty big or something like that. Then we'll get into baseball.
And then Adam Scott's just like, this guy.
Yeah. And the dad laughs like this. That is
Perfect.
one of the best movies. Like, it's a movie that you could watch. In my opinion, the most rewatch, it's not even an opinion, it's a fact. The most rewatchable movies are good comedies. Yes, you can rewatch like dramas, war movies, I'd say also pretty rewatchable, but comedies are by far good comedy, by far indisputably the most rewatchable.
Yeah.
That is up. Bridesmaids is up there.
We just got baked and rewatched This Is the End when my buddy was in town over the weekend. That was fun.
Is that good?
Hilarious.
I saw it twice back when it came out, and
It
like,
gets
that's the one where
better
the
with
ground
time.
opens up, where they're all playing themselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets better and better. The Michael Cera character in that movie is so great. He blows coke into McLovin's face. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Jonah Hill was in that, right? They were all
Yeah.
like all of them were in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go back and watch it. I've watched it twice. It's just when it came out. But Step Brothers, when the dad is at the top of the steps after they ruin his boat, what does he call them? Where he's like, you know what I'm talking about?
It depends on the spot in the movie. Jagaloons for sure is a word.
That's it. Jagaloons. Yep. The best. Seth Rogen has a nice little cameo. God, that movie's so good.
Fantastic.
So good.
I got us here on Marlins.
You did. And can I just say that the end of that movie is actually kind of emotional in a good way, like a happy emotional. When he's up there with the song, what was this, like the opera type song? Or it wasn't opera, but you know what I'm talking about. It's some Italian shit. And what is it? What is it?
Porti Volare.
What language was it in?
Italian.
Yeah, so there you go. There you go. They're playing the drums. Worst drum solo in the world, by the way. It sounded terrible. Anytime you just pause for a drum solo, I understand they were doing it for effect in the movie, but what a flick. All right. Marlins, Washington. We'll kick this one off. Marlins on the day have an implied total. It's sitting at 5.1. That is the highest on the slate.
Yeah, they're number one in top stack, number one in top value, number one in ownership today. Go Marlins. But let's start on the pitching side. 35% ownership coming into Braxton Garrett. Another 23 coming into Joan on the opposite side at 5,400. I guess we can start with Garrett. We have him 32% to be a top two pitcher. I have him at 34. So I am in full lockstep with the site. That said, I am a little light on Braxton Garrett. I don't totally know why. Like at some point in time, you're fading somebody that's getting some ownership on a 3-game slate. As I look at it, Garrett has been really good against lefties. That's probably not all that surprising since he is a lefty. 28% K rate, only a 107 X ISO. Righties have been able to touch him up a little bit. 190 X ISO. The X WOBA was a little bit higher. Strikeout rate comes down quite a bit. We're looking like 8 righty bats in the Nats lineup against Garrett. There's some power here. Lane Thomas, Meneses, Riley Adams. I mean, even somebody like Keibert Ruiz doesn't have a ton of pop, but lefty-righty, it'll probably play pretty well. Park plays up power. Park plays up runs. I like the price tag for Braxton Garrett. I don't necessarily love his proximity to Lance Lynn, and I think that might be the problem here. I think that's what's pulling him down because I do think the Nats look a little sneakier than it seems today. The Nats and the Dodgers don't have all that dissimilar projected run totals. I expect to be a little bit lighter on Braxton Garrett because of Lance Lynn. I'm a little bit lighter on Joan on the opposite side. I don't mind that, although great value, 5,400, really nice point per dollar play. The problem is really going to be Sean Manaea and whether or not Sean Manaea actually even pitches for the Giants today.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, this isn't the type of show where we're going to be like, play this person, don't play that person, because you play everybody, so to speak. If you're playing one lineup, you're certainly more likely to get to Braxton Garrett than Joan, but Joan very much in play. Now, Joan is not great. 191 x ISO to lefties, 212 to righties. There's a lot of power in this Marlins lineup now. Jazz Chisholm projects with a 200 ISO. You've got Jake Berger, Jesus Sanchez, Jorge Soler. 4 guys in this lineup project with 200 or higher x ISO. So I see why it's good for the Marlins. And that limits me a little bit on Joan.
Yeah, the Marlins do look pretty good here.
Yeah.
Look, it's another thing, too, when you're looking at a lot of these parks. Dodgers Park, we could talk about that too, but it's not like there's gas cans on the mound. None of these parks are like the most hitter friendly venues in the league. It's a really weird slate. It's unappealing if you're just looking at it from like, oh, are there any really good offenses or any really good pitchers and great matchups? But that makes it better in some sense. And yes, chat, you're right. I've been saying this for a very long time as well. You can't make those type of comedies anymore, and it's sad. I hope they come back. People want to act like, oh no, you can still do. Okay, give me the last funny comedy that is like.
Have you seen? I haven't seen this yet. Have you seen the new Jennifer Lawrence movie? It's supposed to be like a coming of age tale for a guy, and she's like trying to do him and get him laid and stuff. And I think they zig a little bit towards that kind of comedy. Allegedly, I have not seen it yet, but I'm interested.
My guess is if Jennifer Lawrence is in it, they don't.
No, you're guessing wrong that way.
Why?
Yeah, like I know for sure that I'm not 100% wrong. I just don't know how far they steered into it. But
hold on, Josh,
she's very much down for that kind of movie.
I'm not talking about like raunchy sex shit. That's not what I'm talking about. They've always been doing that. I'm talking about like not being afraid to cross some lines that are actually hilarious. The raunchy, who cares? They
Give
do
me
that
an example.
I mean, it's pretty evident what I'm talking about.
Well, I would have said that this movie that I'm mentioning is in that wheelhouse, and you're telling me that it is not. So what do you mean, Dave?
I'm asking if you were talking about it being like she's willing to go there from like a sexual standpoint, as if that's what you were talking about.
Well, that's part of it. That's the underlying message.
Right, but that never went away.
This kid's parents are trying to get their like nerdy son laid.
That stuff's everywhere. I'm talking
that's
about
the classic parents getting their son laid.
The funny thing is like no one's offended by that. So I'm saying go back to the offensive stuff, not outright like horrible stuff that's truly offensive in the sense that like, oh man, that's cringy. But I'm of the belief that if something is funny, you can say whatever the hell you want as long as it's funny. If it's not funny and it's that bad, people aren't going to laugh and you won't say it anymore. That's all I'm saying. Like if something is genuinely funny, you should be able to say whatever the hell you want.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you remember one of the opening scenes in Old School in the taxi? I'll have to send that.
The taxi.
Where Luke Wilson tells him the seatbelt's broken?
I don't.
I'll send it to you. But
why don't I remember that? Like obviously I've seen Old School countless times. I don't picture that. Maybe that was just a movie that I always was jumping into back in the day when cable existed. So you never catch the early part of the movie.
Could be. Yeah, it could be. And yeah, Borat, that is funny. Borat is, I remember watching that. That is one of the hardest, that is some of the most hardest I've laughed at any movie that I've ever watched in my life. The original Borat. I told my mom about it and I was like, you have to watch this with me. I sat down. I watched this with my mom and she was in tears the entire time. That movie is fantastic, man.
Never saw it.
Really?
Yeah.
You never saw Borat? Oh, dude,
Nope.
it's so good. It is so every part of that. It is the most like uncomfortably hilarious stuff you'll ever see in your life, man. Oh my
I'll
God,
never
it's
see
so
it.
good.
That one or whatever the other one is.
Those
That
are whatever. Those are whatever. Where he's like the gay fashion guy or whatever, Bruno.
yeah, I don't know.
That's whatever. But Jordan, you seen Borat? You like it? It's the it's so good.
Not for me.
All right.
I don't
Well,
like I don't like people using not people involved in the joke in jokes.
eh.
Like I don't it's the same reason I don't like impractical jokers. I don't I don't want to be a part of your humor unbeknownst to me as a stranger. I hate it. It drives me insane. So like I never saw Borat. I never found it interesting
It
at
is
all.
funny because a lot of people feel that way, but I don't. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, like I wish that in those situations that person like would get ripped to shreds by the wrong person.
Yeah, but the character
There's
was
not enough assaults in those scenarios.
yeah, but what he did, like in the original Borat, what he did wasn't really like it wasn't harmful. It wasn't harmful.
My time is my time. You're harming me by me having to deal with you.
All right. When we're talking about bats here, just
Yeah.
to revisit this game real quick, if you're looking at Braxton Garrett, 8,200 against Washington, we already know what type of matchup this is. Like
Yeah.
the Washington Nationals are not a good offense, but they don't strike out. I say it every time. Garrett's strikeout stuff has certainly been underwhelming to say the least. I know
Not
he's
against lefties.
what?
Not against lefties.
That is true. That is true. Just looking at recently, though, man, some of their strikeout totals have been pretty lackluster, but also facing some good teams or some teams that haven't struck out. Last game was against this same Washington team. He struggled there. Where do you have him as far as exposure right now?
Braxton Garrett,
Yeah.
half the field, 18%.
Okay. You probably mentioned that already, but yeah. Okay. So 18%. And
I'm
then
over pretty sizably on three guys, and I'm under pretty sizably on three guys.
how much Joe Nadone do you have? I know you said hard to get there.
Half the field as well.
Okay. Oh, that makes things interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Are the Marlins right now your highest owned stack?
They are. They are.
And what about
35% in the aggregate, 70 something stacks. I don't know how you avoid it, really. The park plays up, the power plays up. Joan gives up 200x ISO to lefties and righties. Doesn't appear to be all that great. Doesn't get strikeouts. Doesn't really get swinging strikes. There's so much power on Miami. If the walks come, this one goes big time. The prices aren't really all that problematic for the Marlins. They are the number one value team on both sides. Whatever this ends up looking like, I think that Miami will be the team that I have the most of. I just think the pieces fit together really well. Luis Arias for a $4,600 second baseman on a slate where there's probably going to be like 6 or 7 guys that can play second, I think looks fantastic.
for sure? Yes, people were talking that you'd never see the Ringer again. Probably
No.
not.
No. I mean, you would never see every movie that we're going to mention, you could never see again.
But why would you not see the Ringer again?
Well, I agree.
No. All of those dudes outside of Johnny Knoxville were playing themselves. Most of them.
Not all. No, they weren't.
A lot of them were. The Oh My Lanta
One of the guys that are in that movie played a different role and is a different person in other movies.
Which one?
I don't. You think I know them, man?
Well,
I saw that in the
My
theater though, for sure.
Oh My Lanta guy, clearly.
Yeah, one of those guys is just a regular person.
That's hilarious.
That one they're not doing again.
That's hilarious. Oh man. With all the pushback now on if a person is in a movie, they have to be that actual person in real life.
Yeah,
You see that which is absurd. Yeah, that probably wouldn't go over well.
Let me see if I can find him. Okay,
San Francisco. Yeah. I think I might know who it is. Is it the guy from Superbad that hits him with his car?
No.
Oh. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, yeah, I mean he's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, man.
He's also, I forget what other movie he's in where he's like a fan in the stands. It's like at a soccer game.
Okay, did you watch Mad Men?
No, my mom always told me to watch that movie back when I was younger, or show, but I never got. I heard it was very good. AMC.
Okay. Are you familiar with Christina Hendricks?
Mm-hmm.
She was very, very attractive lady in Mad Men. She was also, for 10 years, married to the gentleman I'm talking about that was in The Ringer.
Who is it?
His name was Jeffrey Arend.
Oh, I don't even know who that is.
He was a part of the Ringer's cast, but was also married to Christina Hendricks for 10 years.
Oh, I know exactly who this guy is.
Yeah.
And by the way, he does actually kind of look like the guy who hit him with the car in Superbad.
Sure. But
he also
kind of the big takeaway here is that he was stealing roles. They took your jobs.
He also kind of looks.
Yep.
Like
looks like a guy that could pull Christina Hendricks. I agree.
That's where I was going. Sean Manaea, let's assume that Sean Manaea is on the mound. By the way, guys, if you still haven't taken advantage of the Caesars opportunity, it's $50 bet, $250 you're getting regardless of whether you win or not. Football season's coming up. These sports books are going to throw everything at you to get you over there. That's a simple point, right? Like they want your business just as anybody else does. Give them your business when it most benefits you, not like July when nothing else is going on and they're fully aware of that.
Yeah.
How about when football season's coming up, you bet 50, you get 250, which means that even if that bet wins and now you've doubled up or whatever on your 50, you still get the 250 in bonus bets. If it loses, who cares? You still got 250 in bonus bets. Shop around all of these places, find the best promos, take advantage of them. The problem is DraftKings has one right now. You guys are all on DraftKings. You know, FanDuel's going to do one. You're all on FanDuel. Caesars, you're probably not there yet. If you got 50 laying around, you can throw a $50 bet down. Use it to get the free money heading into the NFL. They have the sports betting there. Obviously, they have the casino. They've got everything over on Caesars. It is a solid sports book. It's just FanDuel and DraftKings have dominated the market cap in sports betting. So the smaller ones are going to do everything they can to get you over there. $50 bet, $250 in bonus bets. I threw the link in the description. It's in chat as well. Also, if you have an ad blocker on, toss that ad blocker off for a second. There's something weird about this link. Toss the ad blocker off, click it, you're in. But like I said, it's not a, hey, if you lose this, you get 250. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You get it regardless. Just place a $50 bet. You're 5Xing on that regardless of whether you win or not. So link in the description and in chat. Get that money heading into football season, baby. We're 1 week away from Thursday night football, Chiefs, Detroit Lions. And you're going to have some bonus bets to mess around with that you might not have otherwise.
You can't beat that deal, man. You just show up, you get a large pepperoni pie for $5.55. That deal, make sure you're clicking the link in the description. That deal can't be beat. Oh, it's Caesars, not Little Caesars. My bad, dude. I totally got that one wrong. I must have looked at the wrong document.
Yeah, you were staring at the Ringer too often. All right, San Francisco, San Diego, Sean Manaea, Pedro Avila, 8.5 run total here. San Francisco plus 110 on the road. We're assuming that it's going to be Manaea. We don't know for sure. I can check to see if that's been updated, but last I looked, we still didn't have. FanDuel, by the way, had a line. DraftKings didn't.
We're never going to see that it's Manaea. He's not starting.
So that was the funny thing. I looked at DraftKings, and they actually had him as the starter, which is weird because usually it's been, Ryan Walker opening in these spots?
Yes.
Like, if you look at DraftKings, they still have Manaea as the probable starter.
Ooh, so does FanGraphs now.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So maybe he's going to start now? That would be,
what I was wondering.
That would be great.
That's what I was wondering. So
he's only started once in the past 2 months. So I assumed he was coming out of the pen.
So did I. But that's when I started digging in a little bit further when I saw that they had him listed as probable instead of the PLR. So yeah, it's possible.
Well, I hope he starts because he's $5K. He's the cheapest pitcher. And if he's starting, It's clearly not a great spot against San Antonio. Yes, San Antonio. San Diego. Good God.
Where'd that one come from?
That's that ringer
That's not
conversation, man.
even, that's not even a football team.
Well, I'm thinking about basketball, man. Big Wemby guy.
That was strong.
It
How
was
about him
fervent.
beating that? How about him beating the pulp out of Britney Spears? That seemed wrong.
Yes, exactly. That was not even Britney Spears, though. She's fake now at this point.
Oh, by the way, when that happened and I saw that, I was like, this didn't happen. Like Britney.
Oh, no, there was no chance that it happened the way that it happened.
And it was the security guard. I'm joking. He didn't beat, nobody did anything. But like, all I could think about was, listen, she's left the reservation. And far be it for
Victor
me.
Victor Wembanyama gives a shit about Britney Spears.
Right. Far be it for me to think that it's Victor Wembanyama and his security guard that were the issue there.
Yeah, no, they weren't. Anyway, Sean Manaea. I liked him if he wasn't starting. I definitely like him even more. We got him in for 23% ownership. I have 49. I think a lot of that is just price and unlocking additional bats, unlocking Spencer Strider, because there's not a lot of strikeouts at the top of that San Diego lineup, a lot of strikeout rates in the teens. But I like the idea of getting to Manaea just simply because he's a fantastic point per dollar play on a 3-game slate, and he helps to unlock everything else. And it's a great park. It limits runs. It limits power. He just needs to maintain for a couple innings, and that's all it's really going to take on a day like today. I mean, if you get 15 fantasy points out of a pitcher today outside of Strider, you're probably pretty happy with that outcome. So go Manaea.
I really don't mind it. You're talking about a $5,000 price point.
Yeah.
Look, here's the biggest thing with Manaea, and you touched on it a little bit. When you're getting guys down here at 5K, number one, you're probably not getting the best matchup, but and that is the case here. But you're usually getting guys that either they're completely mispriced, which we've seen, generally with guys that are called up for their first start, have a high strikeout rate in the minors, or it's guys that just have nothing, right? Like it's a Greinke down here or a Wainwright where their strikeout prop is 2.5 or something. In this case, Manaea's got a 29% strikeout rate on the season. He could, like, even if he only threw 75, 80 pitches or whatever, you could walk out of here with enough strikeouts at 5K to feel pretty good about that. He gives you 6Ks, 5 or 6Ks, limits the damage enough. I agree with you. That price point is just too cheap, especially if he starts. You could get even more than that as far as pitch count goes.
Yeah, like I gave him 3 1/3, and I still like him in 5 innings. You just got to avoid the righty power. That's really it. Now, Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, Garrett Cooper, Sanchez, like there's a lot of it. It's going to be a roller coaster, that's for sure. But if he grabs a couple strikeouts, it just really doesn't take much at 5K.
That's all I'm saying though. Like I'm not even thinking about the power or it's because you're not going to get best of both worlds here. At least he can get you the strikeouts.
Yeah.
You getting any
opposites? The opposite side is where it gets really interesting. We have Pedro Avila at 40% owned here. Big number, clearly. He's 6,300, so he's $1,300 more expensive than Manaea. I think I like Manaea, just relatively speaking. Avila's only thrown about 400, 500 pitches this season. Strikeout rate's been good. There hasn't been any power given up, but he doesn't really profile like that in like projection systems. So that's where it starts to get a little weird. I don't really know what Pedro Avila is. He's 26 years old. He was the 31st ranked prospect on Fangraphs. He doesn't like a below average fastball, a below average curveball, a little bit of a changeup, no real skill set to be found. It's like strikeout stuff, and that's about it. He threw 4 1/3 like 5 days ago, ended up going 78 pitches. I don't expect him to go ultra deep in this game. Maybe the strikeout stuff maintains. That's what you're hoping for. Although, to be fair, a 18% K rate in AAA this season does not make me think that he is going to maintain the 27% K rate that he's had so far in the majors. So if he's 40% owned, to me, he's the easiest guy to get away from a pitching standpoint. I think that's too much ownership. Does he look good in a pitcher's park against the Giants? Absolutely. But 40% just feels a little bit high given what's below him.
Hey, Jorge, thanks for gifting the 20 Stochastic memberships, man, right here on the YouTubes. Make sure to say thanks to Jorge if you received one of those. Nice to see you, man. Been a little while. All right. Well, from a hitter perspective in this game, we have the top stacks tool looking at, like, okay, so we talked about Miami. We'll get to some of these others. San Francisco, 18% top stack probability. San Diego, 16%. San Fran does look very good in the top stacks tool, though, for two reasons. One, top stack probability is actually higher than aggregate ownership, not by a ton, but it is. But also, just the value coming into play here. It's not the most expensive stack you're getting to, especially with Spencer Strider being so expensive on this slate.
Yeah, so we have the Giants third. I have them fourth. I have a giant gap in the way that these two are ranked for today. That said, I'm well over on the Giants. Now, having Sean Manaea is certainly helping. Getting the leverage on Avila is certainly helping. But the Giants are the second most exposed team that I have today, behind the Marlins. So I am getting to the San Francisco side of this one. Mitch Haniger, if he's starting, I like that righty power here. The only downside for the Giants is that a lot of their power is in lefty bats. Lamont Wade, Jock Peterson, Yaz, and lefty power is just played down a bit in San Diego. So that does scare me a little, but I am just not worried at all about Pedro Avila. I really like in a contest structure, I like the Giants a little bit more than San Diego. I think they're easier to get to. The most expensive bat in the Giants lineup right now, based on the projections, is Thairo Estrada at 4,300. That really helps with, like, I think the Giants really look good with Strider because of those price tags.
And the ownership isn't through the roof either. Also, another thing to consider is that Pedro Avila is getting 40% as well. So that's
I think that's a big reason of why I'm getting to the Giants.
Right. Yeah. Going to the opposing pitcher, looking at Pedro Avila or opposing bats, 40% on that is huge. Let's hit this last game, Josh, and then we'll run the lineup. I want to see what on a 3-game slate the lineup generator is giving us today. Should be an interesting peek. Just to see, and I'm going to pull it up now. But we can start with this. Strider and Lance Lynn, 8-run total. Atlanta -142. So the question really isn't, like, is Strider the best pitcher on the slate? Obviously he is. Almost 50% ownership. But we have him at 48% ownership, 57% top 2 probability here. I putting that in context, though. I mean, 3-game slate, 57% on a slate with 5 other pitchers. How much Strider are you getting to right now?
I have 69%.
Okay.
And I might have him under projected. Strikeout prop for Spencer Strider, 7.5, -142 to the over. I have him at 7.4. So I might actually like him even more as the day goes on, or if this lineup changes for the Dodgers. But no, he's just on a completely different level. We're talking about a guy that gets strikeouts in a way that not too many people do in the majors. And that is very, very important on a 3-game slate. He doesn't, like, if Strider just has a pedestrian day, if he hits his projection and goes for 20, you probably need Strider on a day like today.
Yeah, you probably do.
And that's like a 50-50 proposition.
But now I'm going to ask you the opposite side of this.
I got him as well.
No, the opposite side of Strider, as a matter of fact. And we'll get to Lance Lynn in a second.
Okay.
Dodger bats. And here's why. Strider's super expensive. Mm-hmm. He's also extremely good. Mm-hmm. He has, 97% strikeout rate or whatever it is. He also isn't impervious to giving up some power. And it is still a Dodgers team that has a lot of power. They're one of the best offensive teams in baseball. On a 3-game slate where he's 50% owned, he got, look, 149 x ISO to righties, 135 to lefties. Don't get it wrong. I'm not saying like, oh, Strider gives up you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But is there an argument to be made here that with only 3 games, seeing that we have seen a few games where Strider gets into a little bit of trouble, that we could get to some Dodger bats here and Dodger stacks at very low ownership? Or are you fading this?
I don't have a lot. I have about 7% in the aggregate. We're projecting 9. I wouldn't mind getting more. We'll see what the lineup ends up looking like against Strider later. Because I like for every lineup that I don't have Strider, I'd be more than happy to have Dodgers. That's a no-brainer there. But I think Strider is the priority over Dodgers bats. Look, the park plays a power in a big way. 125 park factor to righties, 121 to lefties. This is arguably the best home run park in baseball, somewhere in the top 3 or 4. That's important to me. It is also very important to me to think about, like, well, maybe if Jordan's going to this game, he can go out there and like sock Spencer Strider in the dinger or something, and then all of a sudden the Dodgers are a better stack. We could go that direction if we need to. Possible. Ultimately, they're last in top stack, but last also means 10%. Like 1 out of every 10 days, the Dodgers do this in this spot. So I kind of want a little bit more ownership than I have. But like I have 17% Max Muncy right now. Some of that is probably coming against Strider as like one guy that I'm bringing back. I'm having trouble getting to a lot of the Dodgers because I think I'd be more likely to get to like the Padres first. But I mean, clearly Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, you want to play those guys? Like play them as much as you want.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a like, oh, let me go to the Detroit Tigers today against Strider because it's a 3-game slate.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, there's the first 4 guys in that Dodgers lineup are high level talents.
Yeah. Who can hit anyone. Now, granted, Strider is, the highest level as well at his position. But yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because there's not a lot of places to zig when people are zagging on a slate like this, right? And maybe that's one of them that you get some Dodger stacks and just hope that it plays out well. Strider's extraordinarily expensive, so there's that. What do you think about having like 2 bats against your pitcher in some of these spots? Are there any positions where you think that's viable today?
I only do 1.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think 2's too much.
On a 2-game slate, you would feel different, right?
On a 2-game slate, I wouldn't play anybody against anybody.
Mm-hmm. But
I've never dug into it. I've never looked at the logistics. So anything that I say about a 2-game slate would be made up in my mind. Gotcha. I don't play it and I don't look into it.
So you still only go 1 against the pitcher in 3-game slates?
Yeah. And in like the grand scheme of things, I would probably control for that even more and really limit it. So if I was going to get guys from the Dodgers against Strider, it would probably only be Betts, Freeman, Smith, and Muncy, and I would draw that line everywhere. Like I wouldn't want anybody else. But
yeah, but the problem with that too is like I wasn't even talking about Striders. If you're doing that, it's tough because you're paying a premium for Strider and then you're paying a premium for one of the hitters against him, which makes it kind of difficult.
Sure. Like yeah, I just generally don't like it when I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Chris, thanks for the memberships, man. You and Jorge holding it down today. Appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up, too, if you guys haven't done so yet. I know it's a small slate. Just a subtle reminder, though. Tone for your sins on a Thursday morning on the Strategy Show. What do you want to do with Lance Lynn? And then we can talk Atlanta bats here as well.
So I'm playing Lance Lynn in a similar way that I'm playing Strider. He's 32% owned. I've got 46% of Lynn. I'm actually a little bit higher on Lynn than we are, but he's like somewhere in the neighborhood of a 40% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. It's a scary spot for Lynn because he does give up a lot of power. He doesn't strike out lefties and he gives up a 222x ISO this year. So like someone like Matt Olson is probably licking his chops in this spot. Ozzie Albies probably feels pretty good. Eddie Rosario is going to feel good. Michael Harris is going to feel pretty good. Righties, on the other hand, strike out a lot more, but there's still some power there. So it's not like the righties are going to care. This is a boom bust spot. Just for Lynn and in theory for the Braves. You kind of have to have both sides of it because Lynn can go out there and strike out like 7 or 8 of these dudes as a ceiling game and you have to have them. But the Braves are also very primed to just put him into orbit in a park that plays up power like this.
Right. I mean, that is one. I'll be honest. I was actually a little bit surprised to see. Well, that's not true because Braves are second in top stack percentage. That makes sense.
I have them first.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I was a little bit surprised that they weren't first, but I also don't think it's insane that the Marlins are up there at all.
I mean, I think that it's Atlanta as the top stack, but because the Marlins are such an incredible value that they become a better overall stack. But I have a hard time saying that the highest scorer on this slate most frequently isn't Atlanta. Like Lance Lynn gives up a lot of power, and the Braves project for a 214 ISO as a team. The first 5 hitters in the Braves projected lineup all have 200 ISOs in a matchup against a righty. Like, that's a lot in a park that has a 125 park, like a 120 plus home run park factor.
For sure. The only thing I will say, though, I wouldn't be totally shocked if Lance Lynn went out here and put up a decent performance, because so many of the best hitters for the Braves do bat from the right side of the plate. And Lance, like, if this Braves team was heavy left-handed and they were like the same hitters, right? All the same metrics, all the same power numbers, except the only difference is all of those guys were lefties.
Yeah.
I would love Atlanta today. I would love Atlanta today. Now, that isn't to say that Lance Lynn doesn't give up pop to righties. All I'm saying is against lefties, it is dreadful.
It's the only thing that he gives up are home runs to righties, basically. Otherwise, he's striking them out or getting them out. 309 x WOBA to righties. The only success is power. So, like, the extremes of this game become big. He either keeps the ball in the yard against righties, and it's not that crazy of a situation, or they all start leaving. Like, once it's gone for him. Yep. And that's when it starts to really spiral. But what I do think is interesting for Lynn, 32% owned, as we mentioned, tough spot against the Braves. Oh, did they just pull it? He was like plus 160 for 7+ strikeouts, plus 172 for 7 or more strikeouts. To see that right there, like, if Lance Lynn strikes out 7 or more Braves, he's probably a pitcher that you have to have. And that's what, we're talking, it's 35-ish%, right around his ownership for 7+ Ks. Okay. I think he's a little under-owned at 32%. I mean, our top pitcher tool certainly agrees with that.
Agreed. He also, at times, is liable to get tuned up.
Yeah.
Lance Lynn's a hard one to pin down,
Well, he's dynamic for DFS because there's so many strikeouts in his arm, but there's also so many home runs in his arm for the other team. He's given up 34 home runs this year. Like, it's really hard to have an alternative take.
I guess at this point, we can wrap it up with this. Who are your top pitchers, not named Strider? That's obvious. You already said you have almost 70%.
Yeah. And
then top stacks, but also, more importantly than any of that, because it is such a small slate, so a lot of it's going to be kind of straightforward. Do you have any ways to, like, from a game theory perspective, maybe to get a little bit different, to find a little bit of leverage? Are there any ways that you think make sense that you could convey to everybody watching that, hey, maybe this is one way to do it, or even just a way to think about it differently on a 3-gamer?
It's mostly one-off bats there, but I have 69% Strider, 46% Lynn, 49% Manaea right now. The other guys are all 18% or below. So it's Strider, Lynn, and Manaea as the 3 guys that are getting my love. But I look at guys like Freddie Freeman right now is 7% owned. Now, he's hard to get to at 6,200 given the salary structure of everything here, and it's obviously a bad matchup against Spencer Strider. But I don't think 7% ownership for Freddie Freeman on this slate is even remotely close to right. Based on the way that I have him projected, I think he's like one of the most under-owned dudes you can get to. I think he should be probably somewhere in like that 15 to 20% range. I don't see Freddie Freeman today and Matt Olson today as significantly different options. Is Matt Olson a better option? For sure. But you're seeing Matt Olson get 17% ownership and Freddie Freeman is getting 7%. I think you can just simply get someone like Freddie Freeman, just a simple one-off, into a lineup here at that lower ownership number, and you're really putting yourself ahead, because I just don't think that Matt Olson is going to be beating Freddie Freeman like 70-30 today.
So you mentioned that coming up next week, there's a Millie Maker.
Yeah.
Excuse me, in the MLB. My guess is that you'll see a pretty significant push in some of these contests in the week leading up to football before they start to die down a little bit. I mean, 50K up top tonight for a 3-game slate, right? That's significant.
We'll maintain the 50K relay throw on Tuesdays and Wednesdays for sure.
Well, we got half off of all of our MLB content for an entire week. You're the one that mentioned this to me the other week, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Because we're talking about the MLB lineup generator, which is the best tool for someone that, either playing low stakes or doesn't have a lot of time. But you can go back and watch any of our shows, watch the demo. It's the best tool out there for all of that. Like, it's simming thousands of lineups, giving you the best plus EV lineups. You can see your optimal projection. You can see how chalky or contrarian every lineup is. You can discard the ones you don't like, save the ones you like, upload all your lineups to CSV. I mean, it's really crazy that it's $448 for the first week. It actually is. And the price is going up on that shortly. Just full disclosure. It has to. But you're the one that mentioned the other day that you're like, why wouldn't you just go and get the MLB plus, Stochastic plus MLB for the week half off, where you're getting top stacks tool, top pitchers, ownership, top hitters tool, premium Discord, MLB lineup generator, player projections. So like, you're seeing everything that goes into the lineup generator. You're getting all of that. You're seeing all of the leverage scores, all the top stack probabilities, top pitcher probabilities, DraftKings, FanDuel, all of that. And it's $9.95, I think, for the week. Less than $10.
It's less than $10 for sure.
It's less than $10 for all of
great.
our MLB stuff for the entire week, including this isn't like, oh, go get the MLB lineup generator on top of that. And we're like, oh, gotcha. No, this is included in that, and our premium Discord, all of that, less than $10. So this is probably the best week if you haven't tried it out yet. And you're like, yo, let me juice my bankroll up a little bit and put myself in an advantageous situation going into the NFL season, looking at the fact that they have millies out there. I'm not saying you go play the $4,000 millie or whatever it is. What I'm saying is, if they're doing that and they're running big contests, they're going to do it right up until NFL starts in a week. Perfect time to do it with 1 week to go. Link in the description for that. If you want just a lineup generator, or you're like, give me all the tools for $9.95. That's in there too. You'll see lineup generator, then you'll see 50% off any weekly Stochastic membership. Check it out. Appreciate you guys hanging with us as always. Follow Josh at Josh Engleman, me at Laffy_D. Shout out to Jordan Klein for producing this show. And tonight, Buy Before Lock, right back here. And before we know it, football will be upon us. We'll see you guys back here soon. Have a great rest of the day.